Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off a pick 5 on Breeders' Cup Saturday with race number 8, the Breeders' Cup Sprint. We're going 3/4 of a mile for $2 million. Our coverage today is supported by Racing Blue Storm, a breakthrough in sports nutrition for horses, speed and power for longer. You want healthy and happy horses? Try these Racing Blue Storm products, designed by nature, improved by science. Here's the field for the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Sprint. The 8th Landeskog has been scratched out of this race. It will affect the pace somewhat, but Mike Beer, every extravaganza has a show stealer, and all eyes are going to be on the Classic, and all eyes are going to be on Bricks and Mortar and the Turf, and Midnight Beast Sue in the Distaff, and Sister Charlie in the Filly and Mare Turf. This race might be the show stealer.
I can't disagree with that. And there are a lot of really good horses running on this card on Saturday, but a lot of them are running in this race. This is a very strong matchup. And even as I say that, I will recognize that they have a legit morning line favorite here in Metolius, who to me, even facing a field like this, he's way the horse to beat.
A win here and a couple of other things go his way. Metolius could easily be Horse of the Year. There's no doubt about that. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, so important in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Remember to head on over to timeformus.com after this scratch of Landeskog is made official on Saturday morning. This will change. Landeskog, the 8, his chicklet will be taken out. We believe Hansa Lot will make the lead. I think Hansa Lot's going to make the lead. I know Metolius is fast. Metolius has also shown that he can sit off a horse or two.
Yeah, Hansa Lot is going to make the lead in this race, and Metolius is going to be forward. But Metolius has already shown us a couple of times this year that while he has really good natural speed, he's perfectly willing to sit off another horse.
Let's begin the argument, Mike, with the number 1 Catalina Cruiser. I've always liked this horse. You've never liked this horse. This horse has won one bad race in his life. It just happened to be in last year's Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile off of a similar layoff at a short price. This year, they looked like they were leaning to the Dirt Mile. They decided to opt for the tougher race, the Sprint. Let's go back to his most recent race, way back during the Del Mar Summer Meet. It looks like he's in trouble, but this horse didn't have a great trip in this race. He's 5 wide on the backstretch, 4 wide in between on the turn. Giant Expectations has him collared. It looks like you're right about Catalina Cruiser, but I like the heart he showed in fighting back and beating Giant Expectations. I think if this pace heats up, and it should, Catalina Cruiser has enough speed to stay close. I think he's going to prove you wrong in the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
We'll see. We'll see. I respect that he was very game in that race. That quality, I think, could serve him well, because it's also, I think, something he showed at Belmont when he won the True North off of Life. He was really game in that race to win. Not that I felt like that was, a super strong field, but he managed to get it done in that race. I don't know, Dan. I respect his figures. I respect his trainer, and I respect the fact that this is a pace that could get really heated in front of him, and maybe he'll come running into a pace and beat this field. I'm not really blown away by this horse in any of his races. I think they chose a way tougher spot for him, and I'm not so sure that the 6 furlong actually suits him all that well.
That's the worry for me, is the 6. I know he's 2 for 2, but that was really early in his career against much inferior competition. He's going to have to do it against some of the best sprinters in the world. The 2 is Hog Creek Hustle, a true one-run closer. He came from way out of it in the Woody Stevens, came off the good rail, got to the deeper outside footing, but the pace was so fast it didn't matter. Hog Creek Hustle ran him down. He came right back in the Jerkins, and he ran a big race again, this time again. He actually got to the better part of the track on the outside. Last time out in the Phoenix against older horses, he ran okay. I like him better at 7 than 6.
I kind of agree with you there. We'll see if he takes a step forward second time against older horses, because he didn't really fire last time. He's going to have to do better than that. But you know what? This pace is supposed to be fast in this race, Dan, and he really likes that.
Firenze Fire value at 12 to 1 for Jason Service. This horse in the Metropolitan Mile, we've talked about it. It looked like he was traveling sweetly in the early portion. Once he got to the deeper outside footing, he began to struggle mightily, and he just didn't finish. In the Vanderbilt, he followed Metolius up the dead rail. He had no chance there. He gave Metolius a good shot in the Forego. He gave Imperial Hint a big shot in the Vosburg. We're going to go to the Forego right now. That's Metolius on the lead. Firenze Fire is going to come with his run. He's just second best on this day, but he came back out of this effort to really make Imperial Hint run.
Yeah, he did. Listen, he's a really good horse. Is he maybe a couple of the top horses in this division? You know what? He just might be, Dan. But as you've already sort of alluded to, there are ways to make excuses for some of his races. We already know that when he shows up and runs his really good race, it's going to put him right there with these horses. He gave Imperial Hint everything he wanted last time in the Vosburg, and he did that on a day when the field scratched down to nothing. Imperial Hint got loose on a nothing pace in that race. And Friendly Fire took a big run at that horse. He is not overmatched by these horses by any stretch.
While this is a very powerful field, we will agree, I believe, that Metolius the horse to beat. Never off the board from 13 lifetime starts, 9 wins, tremendous season, beat McKinsey in the Met Mile. He's won, what, 3 Grade 1 races this year? And listen, his only loss came with a legitimate excuse. The rail was horrible on Vanderbilt Day. Ricardo Santana had Metoli down there. This is a horse that can get close to the pace, and if you don't believe in Hansa Lot just yet off that one giant number, and that's really what Hansa Lot has right now, a one giant number, Metoli could be in front turning into the stretch.
Yeah, those things are all true. He's just a really, really good horse. And, you know, I think he told you everything that you need to know about him in the Met Mile, because that pace was fast. He was a path or two off the really good rail in that race, and it did not matter. Even over a distance, a mile that may not even be his best, he won. He beat a very strong field, and he did it without a great trip in that race. He's come back since then to win the Forego with consummate ease. He's a really, really good horse, and he is way the horse to beat as far as I'm concerned.
Steve Asmussen took over the training of Engage, and he's responded with 2 victories. This horse was always a good 3-year-old sprinter for Chad Brown. Never could really get over the hump, but it looks like this horse is reaching full maturity right now. He wins a blanket finish over the returning Whitmore in the Phoenix last time out. We're going to take a look at that race. Let's take him home, Mike.
I mean, listen, I don't know what to say about Engage. He's taken a small step forward for Asmussen. As you say, he was always pretty good for Chad, but not one of the better ones. He's going to get it done here, Dan. I didn't think it was a super impressive win for him. You can see him, sort of closing very gamely. He goes to his wrong lead, but he'll hold on at the end. Whitmore is on the far outside. He's just coming a little too late off the layoff. Engage has to really improve to beat this field. Maybe he'll do it.
The 6 Hansa Lot, the expected pace setter in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, exploded to a 121 buyer. And you didn't hear me wrong. 121 buyer in the Amsterdam. He just showed those 3-year-olds his heels that day. They stretched him out in the jerkins. He was supposed to be a mortal lock off of that buyer speed figure. He had a big lead in the stretch, and maybe being on the deeper inside footing got him, although I have to admit, I was a little bit disappointed that he blew it in the final furlong. Last time out at Santa Anita in the Sprint Championship, it was a short field, and maybe Jaramillo rated this pace a little bit too much and kept Omaha Beach involved. I also don't like that he took this horse off the rail and let Omaha Beach have a clear path. Hansa Lot ran well, to be sure. He's fast. I think the instructions to Jose Ortiz is go to the front, hug the rail.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, I don't want to, sit here and make excuses for 2 losses at 1-5. Certainly, I didn't care for necessarily the ride he got last time. A race where I just felt like they should have just opened up on that field and said, come and catch me if you're good enough. They didn't do that. I think Ortiz will do that this time. Clearly he's got a race on his page that will make even Metoli not be able to beat him in this race. I don't know if he's that horse or not, Dan, but I'm very interested to see what he does.
Whitmore was second in the Phoenix in 2018, bounced out of that race to be second in the Breeders' Cup Sprint behind Roy H., and he ran really well that day because he didn't break, and he came with a good, strong late run. He did some good work early in the year. He tailed off. We saw him rally to finish second in the Phoenix. That race should have him set up for this. A horse like Whitmore always has a puncher's chance in a race with speed.
Yeah, he does. I think I'll use him just for that reason. I actually really liked this horse early in the year. I liked his return off the layoff. I thought he was a good second to Metoli at Oaklawn and over that sloppy track. And then for whatever reason, he just lost his form in his next 2 starts. I thought he came back with an okay effort last time. If it's a race that he can build off of, he can come running late in this race and get a piece.
Imperial Hint's just another running fool, and you got to give the connections all the credit in the world because this horse is brilliant. He's also brittle. He's had his share of physical problems. He ran a 114 buyer when beating Metolius in the Vanderbilt. He was on the best part of the track that day. He came back in the Vosbergen. They put him on the lead, and he's capable on the lead. He's probably going to be off the pace where he's very capable in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let's watch the Vosberg. He wins it for the second consecutive year. He has the lead. Firenze Fire, though, you know, he kind of was taken out of his game, put in chase mode, and he puts the fear of everything into Imperial Hint backers right here because it looks like Imperial Hint's all done. All credit to Imperial Hint coming back and getting it done.
Yeah, he's a cool little horse, and he battles on very bravely. He does come back to just get the job done. A four-time Grade 1 winner. Listen, when he won the Vanderbilt over Metolius, he had everything go his way, and maybe Metolius did not. But he still ran the race that he ran, and it was a really fast one. And if he runs something like that in here, we've got a horse race on our hands.
From Japan comes the 10 Matera Sky. He finished ahead of Imperial Hint in the Dubai Golden Shaheen. He's only raced twice since then. Sort of a disappointing effort in the Prakyan Stakes where he showed speed over the summer in Japan. They ran him on turf last time out, which I really thought was odd as a prep for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. This horse on his best day showed that he can step with horses like Imperial Hint, but this is a big ask in a really tough field.
Yeah, his Golden Shaheen, I guess, gives you some hope that maybe he can go with these horses at a price. I want to see him do it.
Breeders' Cup Sprint pick time as we kick off the pick 5. Mike and I have completely divergent opinions on Catalina Cruiser's merits. I like him a lot. I think when he's on his best, he's one of the better horses in the country. I'm going to take him the rundown Hansa Lot. I got to use Metolius, and I got Mike's top pick 4th. I went 1-6-4-3. Mike, you've been chasing Firenze Fire. You might be rewarded at a big number in the sprint.
Yeah, that was basically the reason that I put him on top. It just feels like he's going to be too big a price in this race. And I do believe that he's good enough to beat this field if everything goes right for him. Maybe it will this time. Listen, I think Metolius is way the horse to beat. I have a ton of respect for him. I'm just going to take a small shot with Firenze Fire.
Post time for the kickoff leg of the Pick 5. The Breeders' Cup Sprint is 2:36 Pacific. Our coverage supported today by Racing Blue Storm, a breakthrough in sports nutrition for horses. Best of luck.